Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Conversations from the Hearth. Today we are joined by Mr. Justin Bauer. He's up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Mr. Bauer, welcome to the show.
Sir.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, so, I've known you for a long time. I met you back when you were still quite young, and you've grown up a lot since then. Can you tell people about your background, both in the martial arts and in fitness? I know you've been doing a lot.
Yeah. So, really, a lot of this started very, very young. So for me, it was Taekwondo, really what got me into it. So I was very inspired by Jackie Chan. So I loved the movies. I loved the kicking. I loved just the entertainment. I just thought he was like a total, awesome guy. So we kept driving past Chunma Taekwondo up here, Solon, Ohio. And my mom, I was like, Mom, I really want to do this. And she was apprehensive. And she's like, no, Justin, you're going to get hurt and this and that. And she finally caved, and it was like the best thing ever. So I did Taekwondo pretty seriously, 10 years, got third-degree black belt. That's where I met Grandmaster Olds. He kicked my butt a lot after class, really strong, awesome guy. Otherwise, I did swimming in high school. With Taekwondo, I kind of found we started staying after class, doing a lot of sparring, a lot of flipping. I taught myself like front flip, back flip, aerial, 540 kick. It was kind of a very easy transition into gymnastics. So that's kind of what I did in college. Afterwards, I kind of pursued martial arts, kind of on and off, a little bit more on recently with MMA. I've been at one of the local gyms, Strong Style. So Stipe Miocic, his gym. That's just a bit about me. Professionally, I do run my own fitness company. We help people make fitness transformations, lose weight, keep it off, things like that. And really, a lot of this has been a passion of mine, started really early. I love working out. Always loved effort, physical stuff, things like that. And it's just kind of been an easy transition into this. And I feel like very in line, very in tune with who I am. And it's been a very fun, exciting journey. And I'm just glad to have met you guys. And, martial arts has been a really massive thing for me, giving me confidence at a young age, all these things. It's been really phenomenal. So that's just a quick bit about me there.
That's awesome. No, yeah. And when you were in college, you did gymnastics. That must have been pretty intense.
Yeah. So it was just club, but we took it very seriously. I applied kind of the discipline and the effort from martial arts and swimming and just kind of rolled that over. So it was really hard, put in a lot of effort. I really had a good base. Taekwondo is actually a really good foundation for flipping, handstands, body awareness, the proprioception. It was a very easy transition. Wasn't easy at all. It was very difficult, but I had a really good body awareness, and just picking it up was very, very easy. So it's very cool.
And you mentioned that you're doing MMA now. Have your kicks been coming in handy? And
oh my goodness, it's night and day. So in these classes, with the martial arts, especially when you guys it's a Taekwondo studio.
So we're in MMA school now.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, you're throwing kicks for 10 years. Definitely the hardest kicks in the class. Because kicks are very unique. It's not. You obviously you can learn these things, but when you do it at such a young age, you have the fluidity, you have the movement, just the steps you take. I have a little bit of that strong foundation. Granted, the wrestlers give me a lot of trouble when I get held up and wrapped up. I have a broken rib and I'm recovering from that, but still, the base of Taekwondo has made that transition so easy. Granted, picking up jujitsu, learning a lot more grappling, but it's been fantastic base to just get into that a bit more. So.
Yeah, Taekwondo puts a heavy focus on footwork, which I feel like is something that's really underrated in a lot of other martial arts, but is essential to any good striking. And it comes in handy in grappling and just positioning and moving.
Yes, sir.
Taekwondo focuses a lot on explosion, which is super important for anything, even with grappling. I found when I started getting into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu more, that explosion was so surprising from most of the Jiu-Jitsu guys, because they tend to be very slow and methodical. And I would be popping and exploding out in different ways. And eventually I had to learn how to kind of find a medium ground, because you can also be like a spazoid and tire yourself out to no end. But if you find the right moments to explode, you can actually be very effective with that strategy.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to talking about nutrition and fitness. You're looking good, sir. How old are you?
So I'm 31 now.
You look fantastic for 31. I remember when I hit 30, it was like a freight train hit me in the chest. I felt like I was 100 years old. Partly it was due to my rheumatoid arthritis, which man, I had my ankles like grapefruits every night. I do ice baths and stuff, but it definitely gets harder as we get older to stay fitness. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I used to eat like a whole pizza at like 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And eat nothing during the day, and I didn't even care because I was working out all the time. But as we get older, we got to really pay attention to what we're eating and how we're working out. We have a lot of older practitioners at our school because we're a kind of place where we feel you should be able to do martial arts your whole life. We can start as early as 4 in our little warriors class, go all the way up to 74, or whenever people want to, move on to other things. We think it's something you can do your whole life.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, I guess, fitness. How much exercise do people really need to stay in shape?
Yeah. That was a fantastic question. So really, I think for your audience and who you guys see, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just going to be adopting the mindset of minimum effective dose. I know in fitness, it's really easy to start adding more stuff, a 5th day, a 6th day, 2-a-days, a bunch of cardio. It's not bad, but I think really for many people that are just in the sake of longevity, they want to be strong, stable, age-old gracefully, do martial arts until the day they die, really 2-3 days per week, full body exercises. I think for people that are still trying to do athletic pursuits, doing a bit more like natural stuff. So weighted pull-ups, weighted dips, push-ups, things like that. That's just going to keep you really functional and keep you moving well into your older ages. That way you don't get too rigid from too much bench press or overhead press or too many machines. I think the point that Master World's what you're getting at there is being able to have like strong functional muscle. So you're not getting injured. You're not having too much muscle mass on your frame. That can make martial arts incredibly difficult. Even for me, back when I was doing Taekwondo, I was around 140. And then that first year of college, gymnastics, built a bunch of muscle. Spinning kicks are harder. Everything's a little bit slower. I was pulling things. Just having that weight on your frame isn't really advantageous to being in martial arts and things like that. So I really think minimum effective dose, a good 2 to 3 days, hit enough muscle mass throughout the week. You don't need to be doing 6 days or anything like that. That way you maintain your function, you stay strong, you stay stable. A good balance of things. Like I said, hit pushing exercises, pulling exercises. What I've been doing a lot of recently is neck strengthening, especially with martial arts and MMA. I haven't worked out my neck that much until recently, and I'm getting cranked, I'm getting pulled. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. So I've been doing a lot of that. Core stability is huge. So I've been doing a lot of things. They're called QL raises, where you're essentially kind of strengthening the side of your body, lower back as well. These are really unconventional things that will help you, Master Olds, you said explosive, be strong, be able to move around. That's kind of the stuff I'd really focus in on for our audience here. And even for me and anyone that's interested in longevity, that's the key focus as far as how I would attack that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned neck exercises and things. What are some of your favorite exercises to do that like have maybe the highest percentage chance to get you the results that you're looking for?
Yeah, great. So good question. And I think really for many people, especially if we're 20s, 30s, and 40s in martial arts, I love the weighted pull-ups. It doesn't need to be big and crazy, but it's the function, the lats, the pulling, the grip strength. So for MMA, especially my background in gymnastics, I have an insanely tight guillotine. And because I was doing one-arm chin-ups, a lot of pulling exercises, like once it's in, it's kind of locked in, like we're there. So when you naturally strengthen the grip, strengthen the entire like function of the arm, you're going to get so much bang for your buck, especially for you guys that, you may not necessarily be interested in deadlifting 500 pounds, but we're interested in being better at martial arts. Stuff like that is going to go a long way. Like rope pull-ups, battle ropes, these things are going to really help get us super strong. So I would say weighted pull-ups. Overhead press is really good. It's kind of like building up the armor on our body, the chest, the shoulders, the traps, things like that. Dips are phenomenal. Chest, triceps, things of that nature. Lower body is a bit different because it's more about function. It's less about who can squat 500 pounds and more about like knees, ankles, staying strong, staying stable. That's kind of what I focus in on. A lot of really, I'm by no means an expert at this. Other people are, but more of like length and strength where you're really going deep, knees over toes. That's just going to keep your knees stable. It's going to keep you mobile, going to keep you explosive and moving fast. That's kind of what I'd focus on more for the lower body. I heard a great analogy. It's more about lower body is a bit more functionality and movement. Upper body is more like having the armor. So just kind of that mindset for martial arts can go a long way. So
it's really interesting. I never thought about it.
I'm I have so many thoughts about everything you said, and I'm just like, my mind is racing.
Yeah.
First question I have for you. So this is coming from somebody who I started martial arts about 5 years ago. Before that, I was not really in any athletic pursuits. I did a season of baseball in third grade, never got a hit. It was not great.
Yeah.
He's 6'5" though.
I am.
Oh, okay. There you go.
becoming a monster
I'm
every
big.
day.
I want to get a little larger, but there were a couple of things in there as I was following along with you that really caught my attention. One, you said lengthening and strengthening, or like length and strength. So can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because what I thought, I heard like knees over ankles, and just know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the real expert is Ben Patrick. So if you guys are interested, knees over toes guy on Instagram, he's the dude that is going to be really good at that. He's rehabbed his own knees, been through a variety of surgeries. He couldn't dunk a basketball. Everyone said he couldn't do it, couldn't dunk a basketball. He made his own program of like breaking all the conventions, getting more range. And then when he started doing things like weighted lunges, these things called Poliquin step-ups, that really strengthened his knee, ankles, hips. So he was able to dunk a basketball, and I think he's like 35 and his vertical is insane. So I think the way lower body training is actually, it's transitioning a bit, less of the machines and the squatting and all the traditional stuff, and more about this. It's really like strength at length. So when you have a lengthened position of the muscle, if you load that a bit, you're going to be able to really get that strong. And I think for anyone in martial arts or just interested in longevity, that's what's really going to help you be able to just give you that pain-free movement year over year over year. So, and again, I'm by no means an expert at that, but I think, again, that's just a good foundation of where to kind of get started there. Did that make sense, Master Trader? Any other thoughts on that?
No, that was actually super helpful. Yes, sir. Thank you.
So you mentioned weighted pull-ups, which is badass and awesome.
Yes.
I'm a big fan, but like not all of our students can do weighted pull-ups. I mean, some of our students can't even do a pull-up, unfortunately, but they're getting there. Where we have hope that it's coming. But like those people who really are just getting started on the fitness, or maybe you're pretty old and they're trying to get back into it. You know, what are some ways that they can burn calories and tone their body with like minimum exertion? Like I know they got to do something, but like, you know, we have some students that maybe have like their lower back thrown out and they can't really do any running. They can't do anything that's too strenuous. What do you have any recommendations for those people?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Master Olds, from there, what I do is take a very holistic perspective, because when it comes to burning off body fat, you can always do more, or you can simply just intake less. There are also really easy things like, I'll kind of go into the whole nutrition in a second, but you can add easy things like walking that are very low impact and burn a surprising amount of calories. So for someone who does have lower back pain, they have knee pain, things like that, simply just adding a 15-minute walk can start getting that weight down. And I think the big thing there, as far as like lower back pain, joint pain, knee pain, really the biggest thing there is the weight puts the pressure on. So if we simply have like 5 extra pounds on our midsection, it's not just the 5 pounds, it's the pressure that the knee feels, and that can get amplified because it's less about the weight, it's more about the pressure. Just because the knee joint, a lot of that can really push in. So simply taking a couple pounds off can alleviate a lot of that joint pain. We coach a whole lot of nurses, and these women are 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight. I always say to them, guys, like, this is taking off a 40-pound weight vest and working a 12-hour shift, and just simply conveying that to them. Like, they think they're floating around. It's like you give them this sensation of removing that weight and they feel them. Like, they already, just the thought of that feels good. So simply kind of walking, getting some of the basics in gear, getting the nutrition right can burn the body fat off and make a lot of that pain go away. So a few other things as far as like output, that's kind of what I recommend. You know, if you have knee pain, obviously let's not get out there and run up a hill or do anything crazy. Walking, the basics is going to be big. Now with nutrition, there's a lot of stuff there. And this can be, there are a whole lot of easy things you can do to simply just start eating less food. Many times it's not about counting your calories, it's about making the calories count. So switching from things like almonds to berries, if you think of a plate of almonds, 17 almonds is the same amount of calories as like 200 berries. So if you make these switches, you know, you're going to get tired eating 200 berries versus 17 almonds. I might be eating 100 of these things, right? You're not going to feel it. So it's more about how much the food takes up in your stomach. Some of these easy adjustments and adding walking is how to bring that weight down. And that way we can burn these calories, number one, with our output, adding a bit of that easy stuff, but then also dialing back our input to bring that down. And you add a couple of these things and all of a sudden you're losing a couple pounds per week. And from having things like almonds instead of, you know, blueberries instead of almonds, like very easy things like that. So
That's some great advice. That's some great advice. And I think also, I mean, I want to ask you, how do you feel about like calorie counting?
It's a great question. It's a good one. So I obviously, here's the thing. So calories are going to be massive. And Master World's going to ask, what is the underlying question there?
I was gonna say that most people have no idea how many calories are in the things that they're eating. And so a lot of times they'll go to McDonald's and be like, yeah, I can go to McDonald's like 2 more times today. And they don't realize that they consume their entire caloric intake in
Yeah.
one meal.
Yeah.
I was gonna make that point, but then I thought
Yeah.
maybe I should screen that first and say, what do you think calorie counting?
No, you're good because I'm very, because we have a lot of our clients, like it's more about because there's the whole headspace around dieting with calorie counting. I mean, the danger there is it can almost turn into a religion. Like if I say, oh, we're gonna count calories, someone has like PTSD from some personal trainer 20 years ago that's giving them anxiety about food. So it can kind of trigger a little bit of that resistance. But at the end of the day, what's gonna really dictate our body composition is the energy balance. So like we kind of mentioned there, you can add more stuff by getting more walking, but simply just making those swaps is an easier way to make your calories go further. I think for people starting out, obviously you're going to want some type of feedback system because if I don't really know what I'm doing, you're going to be everywhere. Like you're going to get 2,200 calories, 1,600 calories. We're going to be all over. You're going to want to get some type of baseline on where you're at. But really at that point, then it's about making it as easy and effective as possible. So with that two master rolls, a few other things here with the energy. Think about having 2,000 calories of just brown rice versus 2,000 calories of a more balanced diet. Those are two wildly different outcomes. So even within the calories that we have, there are a lot of details that matter. So the right level of protein, it could be the right level of fiber, like are fats set appropriately? Are you guys athletes and we need to have a bunch of carbs on certain days where we're doing a bunch of crazy sparring workouts? Like that's kind of all the stuff that goes into that. But I think it's good to just understand, even for people that are just getting into nutrition, just look at the nutrition labels, see what's in what. And again, like I don't really do things off limits. Like I'd rather have people eat the foods that they enjoy, but just get a sense of like what's in what. And that'll kind of help you see like, hey, a plate full of almonds is worth like 17, I'm sorry, a plate full of berries is worth like 17 almonds. Little things like that are going to keep you fuller longer and make the entire calorie thing less daunting and simple and effective.
I really like your mindset on this. And it's refreshing and hard to
Yeah.
find. Dieting advice can be so dogmatic.
It's insane.
I'm going to ask you a bunch of dogmatic questions.
Please do. Let's go.
What's your thought on sugar?
So here's the thing. Like at the end of the day, I can't stand here and say Master Olds no more sugar. Like, if I say that, what are you gonna do? You're gonna do it for 7 days, and then it's like you're gonna go. Are you a sweet guy, or what's your kind of go-to?
Sure.
Yeah, probably too much. Yeah, but I mean, I try to eat like berries to get like that kind of sugar as opposed to like a lot of chocolate. But I do indulge myself from time to time. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, and you should. I mean, really, my philosophy on nutrition is you're aiming for more of a lifestyle, not a diet here. Because back in college, I mean, the reason why I'm so good at this and have this mindset is because I was so driven. I mean, it was probably the martial arts background. I pushed myself to having an eating. I mean, it's not, I shouldn't laugh about it. I had an eating disorder. So I was obsessed with only eating clean. And what I would do is it was chicken, broccoli. I had all these dogmatic rules. I would cut out fat entirely and I would like just restrict myself. I said no to things. I lived this miserable life. Sundays I would binge. And it was just this crazy thing where I'd wake up because I was so disciplined all week. Taco Bell, Burger King, order pizza, all this stuff, cram it in, have my cheat day because the diet started again on Monday. So I know how bad it can be. And really, I don't even want people in that mindset because that's really toxic and it's trouble. So it's more about like having these things versus not. Master Olds, you probably don't want to have nothing but like, Hershey's Kisses all day. But at the end of the day, for you, for balance, for sustainability, you're going to want to have these things at some point. So, it's better to have it versus not. But obviously, again, don't have like 17,000 of these things. And go ahead, any follow-up thoughts there?
Well, hey, what are your thoughts on sugar substitutes? How are they? Like, is diet? What do you
So personally, I'm not a big fan because the newest studies are showing that with a lot of these aspartame and artificial type stuff, although they have 0 calories on paper, they can still spike your insulin. So if you're currently on a weight loss journey, if you're currently losing and you're having like 2-3 Diet Mountain Dews a day or naturally recurring sugars, you're in a calorie deficit. But because we have this insulin spike, we're not able to see the results from the calorie deficit. So I'm not a really big fan of it. I think a big thing can just be getting your sweet craving naturally. So the berries, that's just going to be a bit better than a lot of these things, but it really depends on how much you're doing. So if you're doing, like I said, 3 Diet Mountain Dews a day, you're going to have problems. But if you're having a Diet Pepsi throughout the week, it's not the end of the world. So that's kind of my take on it. And in excess, it can spike that insulin and cause a bit of problems, which is very interesting because the calories are 0, but it still has that response in our body. So that's kind of like real cutting edge stuff that came out the last couple of years, that more people are kind of waking up to this, that although Diet Pepsi has 0 calories, there is still kind of an impact in our bodies.
Yeah, no, I've heard that too. So
Yeah.
check me. What's your thought on gluten?
It depends. So it really, it kind of depends on the person. So if we have someone who's menopausal, there are kind of a couple order defenses I'd like to work through first. Like, number one, do we have enough protein? And that's even before we attack things like gluten. Is our protein set correctly? More often than not, the average person is getting less than half of what they need. That's very bad. So before I look at things like restricting gluten, let's get the protein up first. If the results start slowing down, then I go towards my second order things, which is eliminating the gluten. Because gluten, let's be honest, it's fun to eat. People like having bread. I don't want to have to I'd rather do the easy changes first rather than the difficult stuff. So in cases of menopause, certain thyroid situations is when gluten elimination can be advantageous. But for regular people, Master Olds, maybe for you with a bit of inflammation, gluten can cause a little bit of that, but there might be some other culprits at play. Sugar can also trigger inflammation, but as far as gluten, I kind of reserve that to if we really have issues like autoimmune, hormonal, things like that. That's kind of when I get that in gear.
Yeah,
Sir. Sir.
yeah.
So I'm curious about meal planning.
Yeah.
So we've just heard you talk through, making the small changes, making the easy changes that are going to add up. This is something I've been thinking a lot about in my life, is like, what's that little domino that I can tip over that over time is going to take that big giant structure down. When you were talking through this last section here, you said, 2,000 calories of brown rice.
Yeah.
It'd be a totally different thing than 2,000 calories of a well-balanced meal. And I guess my question to you is, when you are meal planning, when you're meal prepping, transitioning from this religious chicken, broccoli, rice, diet, like what is it that you're looking for in your personal meal planning? And then what are some things that you recommend people who are maybe just getting into it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Master Trader, phenomenal question. And I think the biggest thing, because I have the same mentality, I use the saying, small hinges swing big doors. The real biggest thing here is I always like protein, especially for athletes that are working hard. Protein will build lean muscle mass, boost your metabolism. All of that's going to really assist with recovery, being stronger, being stable. It's going to facilitate the hard work that you're doing. So you're actually getting the benefit of the workouts that you're going through. Many times, nutrition wise, if I'm working out hard and I don't have the right nutrition foundation, the results might not be there, which is crazy. So you at least want to get certain things to certain levels so you actually see the benefit of what's going on. So the big thing is really setting that protein high. Typically for females, 0.6 to 0.8 grams of protein is appropriate. For men that are athletes, about 1 gram of protein per pound body weight. So for me, who's sitting at around 175, I will typically get every day 175 grams of protein. So that's kind of like my guiding light. Eventually becomes very easy. It sounds difficult on paper, but if you get the right snacks, the right foods, I have a thing called staple method where I will do 2 scoops of protein powder. So this guy right here has 50 grams of protein. I will get a cheese stick. I will do a plain Greek yogurt. Right there, I'm already at 75 grams of protein, and I have that every day. So what I do from there is I take my 3 other meals and I just focus on getting 30 grams of protein, and I have my 175. So that's kind of how we teach our clients to be able to just nail this thing time and time again, to just get the protein that they need in a very easy, effective way. And with meal planning, it can be very daunting. Like, oh, I'm having this, and I have to have my 6 small meals. At the end of the day, it almost doesn't really matter really what you eat or when. It's, are we getting the right nutrition for our body? And tips like this, so we just kind of walk through, that's like the framework that I use to really help people get big time success. So like I said, that's one of the biggest issues that we see. But once you have that dialed in, it doesn't matter if you're having chicken, salmon, shrimp, protein powder, plant-based, Burger King, it doesn't matter. Like, we're obviously, you're not going to feel great having nothing but Burger King, but once we get kind of that protein dialed in, you're going to really, that's kind of the small domino that can turn a lot of your physique around, your performance, all of that stuff.
Sir. Okay, I have a follow-up question there. First thing, so I can address it. It's just Mr. Trader, just Mr.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes, sir. Every time you're saying master, I'm like, oh God, oh God.
You look like a master. You're fooling me.
Sure. Learning from the best. So this is going to be just a really vulnerable question. Can you talk me through because you're saying protein a lot, and I have this association to like what that is actually doing for my body, but I honestly still don't really understand. Like when you say, I'm maybe like 165. So if I'm going for 165 grams of protein, I can make that change. I can try to make that change, but intellectually, I still don't really understand like what is that doing in my body.
He needs some protein.
Yes.
What is getting that?
Good for brain health. So, Mr. Trader, and is the question like what the benefit of getting that protein would do for you?
I guess more biologically, like physiologically. So when you're intaking protein, what happens? Like what's going on in your body when that?
Right. Great question. So really, there's a lot that happens. It's one of the essential amino acids of building muscle. So if I am in the gym working out, I'm actually getting micro tears in my muscles. So I'm actually not building things up in the gym. I'm actually tearing things down. And the protein, the amino acids are going to help repair that. And the beauty of there's so many amazing benefits to protein. So with the protein, number one, you're going to be able to assist that recovery. You're going to get more lean muscle mass. You're going to be able to recover quicker. So for all the athletes out there, you're going to be able to have more ongoing performance, not going to be as sore, not going to be as sluggish. You might sleep better, things like that. The real benefit to having lean muscle mass is that your metabolism is much higher. So simply by adding more lean muscle mass on your frame, there are studies out there that say it burns like 10 calories to 50 calories. But the bottom line is if we have more muscle mass on our frame, we're going to have an easier time being lean. So that's kind of the other benefit there. With protein, it's got a thing called a higher thermic effect. So there's a thing called the thermic effect of food that essentially we only see 70% of the calories from protein. So it's going to increase satiation, which is kind of proven with our hormones. You're going to see less calories, so you're going to stay fuller longer, and you get all of the amazing muscle building benefits. So that's kind of really what protein does to people. And that's why when I take someone who wants to lose 30 pounds, by getting the protein right, exercising correctly, having our calories dialed in appropriately, all of a sudden it comes off like clockwork. Physically, they're changing, the weight's changing, body fat's coming down, clothing sizes, more toned muscle mass. Even for athletes, it's the same thing. Like I said, recovery, more muscle mass. You're gonna get the true benefit of the work that you're doing. The hard work is hard. Being in the gym is kind of the most difficult part, but then we're gonna have these building blocks that allow us to see the full results from the effort we put in. Versus if we don't have enough, you might not actually get the full benefit. Cut yourself short. Have the shortchange yourself on the lean muscle mass, lower metabolism, all sorts of problems like that. That's pretty much the biggest benefit there. So. Mr. Trader, any follow-up questions on that or anything else you want to touch on there?
No, I mean, thank you for walking me through that. I think that's great. I'm just spinning. Like I'm gonna go home and sit down with my wife, and we're gonna get some work.
Yeah. I want to go back a step to Sensorious topics because those are fun. What is your thought on the keto diet?
So keto is very, very dogmatic. And really, there are two things that I look at. So as far as me working with the general audience out there, there are two things. Number one, you got to get results your way. And number two, it's got to be a sustainable game plan. So keto can work phenomenally. The issue is that we just hack out our entire carbs. So All
right, thoughts on the keto diet?
Okay, thoughts on the keto diet. Not a bad program. The only issue is you really want to make a lifestyle out of never having bread, never having berries, anything like that. The results can be pretty insane, but at the end of really why keto works is if you just cut out your carbs, you're going to eat less. So you're going to get your protein, you're going to jack your protein up, you're going to just typically eat less. So the results are insane. The only issue is that the majority of people on keto, they have a really difficult time committing to a lifestyle of never having carbs. So it's not bad. It can work. The only issue is, can we do it forever? If the answer is no, the results are just temporary. So really for me, I'd rather have people eat the foods they want and get the results that they're looking for versus doing some really restrictive dieting. At the end of the day, Master Olds, there are a couple of ways to make this thing happen. Number one is you can do dietary restriction. So you can either cut things out, eliminate pizza, eliminate carbs, cut out your pasta. You can do time restriction, the fasting. You can cut out your breakfast, eat in a smaller window. Or the third thing there is simply the caloric restriction. So eating less overall. Many people out there just aren't sure how to make that happen. So like we talked about, switching the berries, simply getting the right ground beef. If you get 93.7 versus 80-20, you're going to be getting 100 less calories per serving, and it's going to kind of taste the exact same and give you the same satiation. So little things like that before you even look at cutting your calories, make sure you make the easy changes first before a lot of these difficult things. So I know it's more than you asked for, but keto diet, not bad. It can work great. The only issue is you probably don't want to do carb elimination until the end of time.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from my friends who tried it. They say it works, they feel terrible, and they don't want to do it for the rest of their life. So they usually drop out after like 6 months.
Yeah.
So, what's the point if it's not sustainable?
Right. And, there are some, because I have to do a couple of photo shoots throughout the year, and I'll do keto and I have to eliminate my carbs. I feel like I'm hungover. It's like a Tuesday. I'm hungover for some reason. I have awful breath. Like, there are a lot of these type of problems. If you really stay on keto, there are some issues. Like, if you're really committed to it, like months at a time, so Master Old 6 months, it's a long time. There can be hair loss. There can be cholesterol issues. I mean, you're only eating like bacon, avocado, and cheese. Granted, like, your protein's good, your fat's good, your calories are kind of low. You're going to not feel great. And the worst part there is once the carbs come back, the rebound can be very insane. So
is that a phenomenon with basically any hard dieting like that, where once you stop dieting, it just kind of comes back?
it's across it's with everything. It's not even just the dieting, it's the phentermine, the Ozempic, like all this stuff that everyone's doing. If it's not really a lifestyle, many times the results are going to go away with it. Like, insert crazy protocol here, you're on it, it's going to work. Like, we can be Navy SEAL trainers and only have salad. We're going to be 5% body fat. The only issue there is that once we're tired of doing that, like week 2, 3, 4, if we can't really live with it, it's not going to be a long-term thing. So Master Olds, back to your point, if we can have, that's when you want to have the Hershey's Kisses. Like, that's when it becomes a lifestyle, not another diet. So if we can kind of have a way to live with it, that's what's really going to give us that longevity versus a lot of these other elimination diets.
You just spoke Portuguese for a second. What were those 2 words that you brought up?
Wait, what did I say?
Amphetamine or something?
Oh, phentermine. Oh yeah, these are the most common like weight loss. Sorry, I know it's like second nature to me. These are what everyone's taking to lose weight. So if I go to my doctor and say, hey, I'm losing, I want to lose weight. Number one, doctors are they're a certain way. Like, everything is a bit more surgery to them versus like lifestyle change. So and again, it's good intentions, but they're going to prescribe things like phentermine, which is an appetite suppressant. Ozempic is actually a diabetes drug. So it can lower diabetes, but the issue there is it really suppresses the appetite. So you feel satiated all the time and you just eat much, much less. There are a lot of problems with these things. People tend to initially see results, but because they crash their metabolism, they're not getting enough fuel in the system. They're going to maintain and they're never going to gain any ground. Once they stop, the weight comes back up and they've caused a bit more metabolic damage in the process. So yeah, my bad for the Portuguese there, but those are really common right now as far as like the medical weight loss side of things. The celebrities are doing Ozempic, everyone's doing these crazy pills, and it works, but once you stop it, the results just come back, or the weight comes back.
So you seem to have a unique approach to dieting, which I really appreciate, which is more holistic.
Yeah.
Do you find that this is common or is not common amongst dietitians out there and fitness?
Oh, yeah, this is different. I mean, this is a whole different ballgame. Because it has to be different. People are looking for how to have a cheeseburger and lose weight, and no one else out there is doing that. Because if you look at who a nutritionist is, they're not bad people, but they are so in the weeds of this and this, and you have to have flaxseed, and you have to do a lot of this stuff. The average person that commits to that, it can work a bit, but they're like, ooh, I just can't do these things with my family. I fall off. So this is kind of like a really different mentality. If you think about one of the other common programs out there was Noom. Noom over COVID was very popular because they kind of did this at mass. Not that it's bad, not that it didn't work. It was a different mentality of like, hey, we can kind of do these things, eat what you want. Here's a different approach to making it happen. Because ultimately, once someone's eating the foods they like and get results, that's when they keep it long term. And if it's not that, it's really difficult to get a thing to stick. So more people like me are kind of sprouting up because they know what the market wants. They know what people need. It's just we're now kind of like rising up to really help get it to people.
Yes, sir.
So this is awesome. I was talking to my brother. He's studying to be a doctor right now, and he's trying to figure out what field he's going to go into. And lifestyle medicine was something that I discovered recently when I was doing research for my arthritis, and brought it up to him, and I was like, what do you think about going to lifestyle medicine? And he's very much of a similar mind to me, and I thought that was fascinating, so I thought he would too. And he thinks it's really cool, but he's like, the problem is it's more theoretical because you have all this stuff, but it's very hard like to get people to do it. And so they come in once they've eaten all the horrible things and they have diabetes and their body's falling apart, and they say, give me a pill. And it's like, yeah, pill is never as good as, diet, nutrition, sleep, and all this kind of stuff. But everyone's so lazy, and they would need like a coach, and a doctor's not really a coach. A doctor is somebody you see like once every few months or something, and he gives you like an analysis of what's going on with you, and maybe gives you a pill. So, but you're in a really unique position because you are more of a coach, and that's, I think, what people need is that coaching. And if they don't get it, they're not going to be able to make those lifestyle changes, because on our own, we don't have the support network that we need. We have the support network that's gotten us to where we are right now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we have as many adult students as kids coming through that door, but the kids stick with it so much longer because they have that coach that's coaching them through, and the parents, they don't have that. So what are your thoughts on that? And how can that lifestyle how can those lifestyle changes come to fruition?
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing we're discussing here, because I think at the end of the day, everyone wants to make a lifestyle change. It's just knowing how to do it is very daunting. It's exhausting. It's scary. Like, it's almost asking like a smoker to just quit smoking. It's like, hey, we're making a lifestyle change, and then they think that it's going to have to be this chicken and broccoli miserable thing. So really, I think the big thing to understand is that you can still have a lot of these things you enjoy, because think about your balanced lifestyle. You're probably going to have your sweets or your takeout or your date night with your wives or whatever. You want to be able to have these things, and that's how you can really make it in the long run. The thing there is, like, it does come down to coaching, and it's a very different mindset. So really, a lot of what we do is kind of untangling what they think is going to work, and it's more about uncovering a different path forward that isn't the Ozempic or isn't a keto or anything else like that. So you kind of have to have someone get in there and like untangle the wires in their head, reconnect things, and then from there, then like the coaching process begins. Like, hey, this is what we're going to do. These are the easy things to make it happen. This is the minimum effective dose mentality. Their entire lives, they've been told 6 days a week, do all this hard work, when in all reality, the common person just wants to look good, feel good, exercise a bit, not be like this overcommitted person. And that's just the easy way to get in gear. So I think the way to make it happen is just focusing on the right things, getting the protein in, exercising correctly, having a good fitness practice, whether that's with martial arts, walking, pickleball, kayaking, it doesn't matter. Things like that is going to really help you make this lifestyle change easy. And just knowing that you can still do a lot of these like quote unquote naughty things that all the other stuff doesn't allow, that's how you can really knock this thing out. And, we've had clients 6 years ago that they're healthy. They figured it out. They're not worried about it anymore. So that's kind of how to bring that lifestyle into fruition, is you got to make it simple. You kind of, people can get it right on their own. Don't get me wrong, but having that mentor, even with us, Master Worlds, we've been taught Taekwondo. To sit there and like have a book of martial arts, it's like, can we get it right? You can. The only thing is that coach and mentorship can just help us make all the steps correct. So that's kind of how we're able to make our lifestyle changes happen with the right approach, but also a little bit of that mentorship that can go a long way.
Yeah.
Sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Wow, awesome answers to all these questions that I've been burning to ask somebody who knew about it. And I really like your candor and your thoughts on this stuff. How can we get to hook up with you more and learn from you? I know you have a, a group on Facebook,
Yeah,
right?
I think you're in that.
Yeah, I think I'm in
Yeah.
that. A lot of good recipe ideas coming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What are some other ways that we can get connected with you?
Yeah, so just J Bauer Fit on Instagram is probably the best spot. So, I'm not here selling anything. I just want to share my thoughts. I'm glad we're here having this conversation. So we do. I'm not making as much content right now because we are doing a whole lot of stuff. But that's one of the best spots to get in contact with us or just kind of get into this mindset because really, again, people want to eat better, see good results, train in a way that's effective. We kind of have a lot of good stuff out there. There are a couple of guides we can send you. So if you just want to message J Bauer Fit, there's a lot of stuff we have out there, a couple of videos, a lot of good things. And that's probably the best way. We do have a Facebook group. So I do believe it's Justin Bauer Fitness free group. I'm not sure on that. I really should know, but just search that. You're going to be able to get access there. But yeah, and then really that's just the mindset. It's the mindset of doing things a bit differently, not being restricted, kind of having a life as we're getting results. That's really the ultimate spot to be. So yeah, Master Olds, that's kind of where to connect with me there.
Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
you offer fitness coaching, or what is the primary service that you offer with that?
Yeah. So we do transformations, and really it's it's a 4-month program. So it's similar to like a personal trainer, except our job here is to really work in reverse. A lot of stuff we've talked about here is really what we help with. What do you like to eat? What's going on? What are your goals? We do have people currently that are one of my awesome clients right now. She's a jujitsu practitioner from Oregon. So a lot of the same things we're doing with her is helping her get the food right. For her, the weight's coming down, the rolls are better, more energy, things like that. Same thing with the fitness, a lot of the QL stuff, the neck exercises, the overall philosophy, helping her be a better jujitsu practitioner. That's kind of like where we come in is help people reach their goals. So typically a 4-month program, the nutrition, the fitness, things like that. We love our clients, but like we don't want them forever because we can only teach people so much. Like once we get it right, you're kind of good to go. So that's kind of how we do our things here. We do keep people long time, but really the whole goal is to be independent, have this thing figured out, and have the understanding, the food, the routine, all that stuff dialed in. So
That's very noble. I like that. That's
Yes,
awesome.
sir.
Cool.
Well, it's been a real pleasure catching up with you, sir. We're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah, this is a blast. You guys are a fun group here, so I appreciate that, and it was very fun. So
Yeah, we'll see you soon. I want
awesome.
to see you when you come to Austin. If you
Yeah,
have
absolutely. I'll let you guys know. Yeah, so I'll be there 2 weeks. So again, and Master Rolls, maybe final note for you. Thank you so much for what you did. I mean, I know that I think back to the memory with you and I. So I think I was maybe like a junior, senior. We were doing jujitsu, we were sparring. I just remembered how like tough you were and good. And so, I mean, you've also been essential in my growth here because although our time may have been limited, it's like I really appreciate everything that you've taught me. And everything from martial arts has been just a blessing and helped me get to this point. So you've been amazing. You've been a great mentor. And I look at you, I'm like, he's still going, he's still kicking butt. I love it. So
Yes,
it's good
sir.
news. So
you, sir. Well, likewise. Thank you.
awesome. Thank you guys.
If you enjoyed that podcast, please consider liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel, as well as hitting the notification bell. We offer in-person, group, and private lessons at our facility in Kyle, Texas, as well as virtual lessons anywhere in the world. If you'd like to learn more about our programs, you can find us online at risingphoenixtkd.com.